Yeah, hey, drop.
Prime Coverage Sports Network. Real coverage, real conversation.
It is a Tuesday afternoon, so that means it's the perfect time for the Lockdown Coverage Podcast. Mike Tipton hanging out with Wags and Sean Davidge hanging out with you here on this Tuesday evening. Guys, we just had franchise tags and all kinds of stuff get labeled onto people. We were talking about Stefon Diggs before this, so maybe we keep the conversation going where it talks about Stefon Diggs. Maybe it's time for us to look at Stefon Diggs as the biggest loser of the year so far. You lose a girlfriend, you lose the Super Bowl. Like, it's a bad time right now. You had to go to court. It's a bad time to be Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, no question. Go ahead, Sean.
Yep. Like I said before, I think he was much better behaved, much more grounded when he was with the Vikings during his time. Yeah, he's not off to a good start this year at all. The only good thing he has going with him is his 2 newborns.
I mean, yeah.
He's expecting 2 more, isn't he? I thought it was 4. I'm missing. I lost track of how many kids he's having this year, but all I can say is he allegedly, smacked and choked the cook or the chef. He pleaded not guilty. He's going to have a April 1st new pretrial. So, I don't know. When you got Cardi B and then you got some girl in the first row, you're flying a little close to the sun. Maybe you could have figured something out there. I heard she had a $1 million post-party plan and got canceled as a result of all this stuff. And, of course, he lost the game. So what are you going to do?
I mean, I think that's the craziest thing, right? Is like they broke up at halftime. Like, what happens at halftime? She was in the Bad Bunny concert, and then it comes out she broke out. Like, it was done. Like, that's a weird time to break up with somebody.
Well, she found out the other girls in the front row, and she said, "I love you" or something. I saw the clip. I mean, come on, it's Cardi B. I mean, yeah, the girl looks good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, girl was beautiful in the front row, but Cardi B ain't gonna play. She got more money than Diggs anyway. So,
but why is it that athletes like him think they can get whatever they want, whenever they want?
Yeah, it's Tip's birthday, dude. We got to say happy birthday to this guy. You got to open up. I know you're not going to say.
Oh, that's right. How can we not start off that way?
Happy birthday to the host with the
happy
most.
Birthday, my friend.
It is Fat Tips Day.
Shirts.
We've got to lean into the whole Mardi Gras theme that we've got going on here. Thank you guys. I appreciate it so much. I'm still one of those people that I am terrible with compliments. Like, you tell me happy birthday, I get like, nah, let's talk about something else. You're like, oh, you guys did a good job. Nah, you all did a good job. I'm just some other guy. Like, I am terrible with compliments. The youngest of 11. So maybe that explains it.
I'm the very same, and I'm the oldest of 3. At least my brother took it in stride the other day, a couple of days ago when we celebrated his birthday. He took it in stride. So I give him credit for that.
I mean, it was a good day for your boy. So obviously, for those of you that don't know, I am the manager of game presentation and live events at Southwest University Park, AAA baseball stadium, USL Soccer Championship League as well. But today we had a high school baseball tournament that was happening at the stadium, and my alma mater was playing. So my high school that I went to was playing on my birthday. It was a great time. It was an absolute
how
fun
cool
time.
is that?
It was great, but also it made me realize how old I am, and I did not like that feeling at all.
Talk about feeling old with your high school alma mater. I got a reunion this weekend. That'll make someone feel old.
What, 20th anniversary? Is that what it is?
Actually, a rather peculiar one, 16-year.
16.
We couldn't do a 10-year one because of the pandemic, so we decided this was the best possible time afterward. That'll make somebody feel old. It's like, how you been doing these last few years?
Oh, yeah. As the OG of the group, I wish it was only 16 years for me. So great job, guys. But happy birthday, Tip. Mardi Gras. I mean, my God, everything confluing together all at one point, and there you are living your best life. So good job.
The Mandalorian of Horizon City, also known as Chris Babcock, saying, looking forward to baseball next Tuesday as the Alamogordo Tigers travel to Southwest University Park to take on the Fabens Wildcats. His Fabens Wildcats will be playing at Southwest University Park. And yes, that is his actual nickname, the Mandalorian of Horizon City. That's a great name.
Does he never take off the helmet? Does he always leave a helmet on at all times? He takes a shower in it? Is that why?
I mean, just based off his personal appearance, he should, but the helmet does come off from time to time. Perfect face for radio, my guy.
Oh man, gotta get him on. So
okay, so Stephon Diggs, we're going to say so far at the beginning of 2022, 2026, I am old as all hell, is the biggest loser. But I think you look right down the middle of this. We're just getting rid of diva wide receivers left and right. Tyreek Hill, no longer a Miami Dolphin.
Yeah. See ya.
Probably should have expected that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I did too, but it much like Diggs, what was it, a year and a half ago, he had 3 kids in a year and was sowing his oats out there in Miami. And obviously he had that unfortunate pregame when the cops pulled him over and put him on the ground before a season. That was 2024, I think. But yeah, man, I don't know what, it's like a bulb goes off. It just boom, it just blows, like a fuse blows. I mean, Antonio Brown did this at some point, not the same, but he like lost his junk at some point and just like goes ballistic. With Hill, certainly still a fast dude, but there's something up. And obviously, he doesn't want to be around. They don't want him around, and that's it. It's a bad marriage. It's gone. How
often do you see it in the league these days, though? Class and talent not really going hand in hand with each other. Mm-hmm. You know, the league had enough of Antonio Brown. It's going to be interesting to see what Tyreek Hill's market is going to be, you know, because not only is he going through some off the field drama, but he's also hurt. That horrific injury ended his season, you know, prematurely.
And that's what I was going to reply to you with, Wags, was you said he's still a fast guy, but we don't know what that leg is going to be like coming back. And obviously we've seen guys with compound fractures. Dak Prescott was able to come back and still be the same guy, but he was much younger at that time. Tyreek Hill, I believe, is going to be 32 years old. This is going to be his 10th season in the league. Mm-hmm. Is the juice really worth the squeeze if you're another team to go out here and get Tyreek Hill? And what would the market be like? And I see here that Kenny's telling us Kansas City, and I've seen that out there as well. If I'm not mistaken, it was Chris Jones was like, "Hey, Cheetah, come over here to Kansas City. It's time to come back home." But if I'm Kansas City, Sean, do you want that?
No, I think his better days are behind him. They already have a good thing going in KC. They proved they didn't need him in the long run. The success they've had since they let him go.
What about you?
I don't think the Chiefs.
It's kind of like when Moss was bouncing around at the end of his career. He had that killer year with the Patriots, right? And if you're with a stud quarterback who knows how to use you and knows how to manage the situation, maybe he'd be humble. We'll see. I mean, I still think after week 7, he'd blow a gasket and see what happens. But if anybody can try to calm him down, it's Andy Reid. But to your point, Tip, his one thing is speed. If he doesn't have that 4.1, 4.2 speed, maybe he's not effective. Maybe he's actually got to run a route instead of just a go route. So we don't know what he's got, but if you get him on the cheap, might be worth a shot, especially if you're a playoff team.
I would agree with you that it would certainly come down to a coach that'll keep him humble, keep him grounded. Andy Reid is certainly that kind of guy, as he's proven over his time in the league. Right. Well, but is he going to be the same when he recovers?
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, he's not going to be the same. I think we can all agree on that. But again, Tyreek Hill at 80, 75% is still one of the fastest guys in the NFL. Like we know that. I mean, look at how Deshaun Jackson was at the end of his career, where it was just all go routes and doing stuff like that because you knew that he was faster than some of the other guys that are out there. The biggest question that I have is for the Miami Dolphins right now, because we don't know what the future of this team was 2 years ago. Just think about how fast all this went along. 2 years ago, they entered that season after going to the playoffs, losing in Kansas City in what was the coldest game of all time. If I'm not mistaken, somebody had their nipples get frostbite on them while they were in the crowd. If you're in the crowd without a shirt in cold games like that, you deserve what happens to you. You get zero sympathy from me. But they had a phenomenal offense that year. And these last 2 years, we've seen the wheels just fall off. How much of that is on Mike McDaniel not being able to make the adjustments that he needs to make? And then look at what's happening in Miami right now, where it feels like it's a fire sale. No more Mike McDaniel. We're getting rid of Tyreek Hill. We're looking for a trade partner for Tua, which is not going to happen. And I can't see a scenario here, Wags, where the Dolphins outright released Tua because that's $99 million in dead cap space.
Oof. That's a lot of cheddar. What I would say is teams that do this, they're just like the Bengals. You pay the quarterback, you pay the two receivers, you got no money to go around. And they decided to do that with Hill. And obviously, the other receiver, it's like, and Tua. And I don't know why they paid Tua, because he was okay. So they got to pick their poison. They cut one. We'll see if they cut the other receiver, Waddle. And then they're going to have to probably keep on a cheat, see what they can do with Tua. Nobody's going to pick him up unless there's a midseason injury, probably. So new quarterback or new coach, new regime in there. Maybe they can, refocus the team. But I did see Waddle also said me next, because I know Bradley Chubb wants out or he's getting cut. So it's going to be a fire sale right now for the whole team. And you got to see what sticks. And I think in the end, you just can't pay both the quarterback and two wide receivers. It never works. And it may have ended up working for the Bengals, but I don't think it's going to work for them either.
What about you, Sean? What are your thoughts here on what's going on in Miami with the Dolphins?
Well, obviously now is the time more than any other to move on, start over. If that includes finding a trade partner for Tua, which I agree with you, I don't think they'll really find anybody, but cutting him would be dangerous. Waddle, Chubb is going to be gone. Who knows what Waddle's fate is going to be, but you might want to have somebody trustworthy, especially if Quinn Ewers is the guy next in Miami, which is starting to pick up some momentum as far as I'm concerned. So maybe that's what they do. Tua has proven mostly ineffective the last couple of years, and they need a better running game. They need receiving help. They need a lot of help. And right now they're basically starting from the ground up.
Achane's a good back. They utilized him. He's only it'll be his third year next year.
Well, that's true.
So they've got some pieces. I just think the defense, it's really got to improve.
Yep.
They're in a tough division. If you get somebody Ewers, great.
They need to keep some pieces for him if Ewers needs to succeed, but it's clear Tua's time is just about run out down in Florida.
So let me play devil's advocate here, okay? Because I tend to agree with y'all that I do think it needs to be a full-on makeover in Miami. It's looking bad. But after Tyreek Hill went down, this team kind of caught a little bit of momentum. There was something there. The connection between Tua and Jalen Waddle seemed to be, building itself there. I think if you look at Miami, okay, you have a decent enough quarterback in Tua. He's not great. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl, but he can be your bridge quarterback going forward right now. I don't think you trust Quinn Ewers to be the guy that takes the reins of this team right now, especially with as bad as it could possibly be going forward. You're not going to be able to find a trade partner for Tua. That $99 million in dead cap space over the next year is not going to be something that I think that the Miami Dolphins are going to want to eat if they just outright cut him. You're paying him $50 million guaranteed coming into next season. He's got to play some games for you, barring injury, which is more than likely going to happen because Tua is made out of glass. It was that defense for Miami that was absolutely god-awful. It was atrocious. You had no linebacking help. You had nothing in the secondary. Bradley Chubb was your only defensive lineman that was worth a damn. I feel like if you do a complete overhaul on defense, you keep the offense okay. You have Waddle. You have Achane, as we mentioned. You put Tua back there. You get him a little bit of help on the offensive line. Maybe you've got something to have a middle-of-the-road defense to kind of just build the gap right now. But to me, if you outright release Tua, you get rid of Jalen Waddle, it's going to be hard to bounce back from that. Like, you don't see teams do that very often. What do you think about that, Wiggs?
Well, the dead cap, it kills you. You can't sign anybody. So I think you're right. I think you just got to salvage a year with Tua playing better. Like you said, midseason, they won a bunch of games because they were running the football. Achane's a great back. If he stays healthy, maybe get a second back just in case he goes down because he's another fast guy. Fast guys I love, but if they pull a hammy, you can lose 4 games out of them, right? So I agree with you. You got to focus. They brought a defensive coach in, right? I mean, that's what, this guy's a defensive coach. He's going to improve the defense. They're probably going to go heavy defense and maybe a little offensive line help. Probably need a tight end because, obviously they pulled somebody out of retirement that maybe he'll play, but he's getting old too. So I hear you. That's the prospect. The problem is you've got the Bills and the Patriots in your division. The Jets are still probably going to be bad, but you're still the third banana at best in that division.
Wags, do you believe that? And Sean, I'll let you answer here in a second. Like, do you truly believe that? Because again, I think we all saw New England got fat off of playing a terrible schedule. Do you they're going to have a top tier schedule now, first place schedule. I don't know if I see this team being as good as what they were this year, but I can see what happened to the Washington Commanders happening to New England, where they take a huge step back. Like you don't think that might, throw a little wrench into what Miami's thinking right here?
Go ahead, Sean.
I thought he was gonna have you. It's very possible. The New England schedule was among the softest I've seen in the league. Buffalo, I think their loss in Denver was rather unfortunate, rather unlucky. They clearly have what it has in place to, be consistent in the division, though who knows how they're really going to be next year with McDermott gone. Miami probably going to be hovering near the bottom again. They have nowhere to go but up on defense after that atrocious showing they showed last season. But they brought in another defensive-minded guy. If you get Tua some help, like you said, their running game is good with Achane in the backfield. They have Waddle. But if he wants out, they're going to have a problem at the wideout position. So, truthfully, it's tough for me to see New England repeating as division champs. They may be contending, but I think Buffalo's going to take back the reins next year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think they're going to play. It's like the Bears. They got to play the better schedule this year. They caught people by surprise. They played a chump schedule, but Drake May's a pretty good ball player, and their defense certainly was pretty good. They didn't play great in the Super Bowl. They played a great football team. So I just think Miami is going to be looking up at them and the Jets for sure. It's just Buffalo. And Buffalo, they got to address their defense. I mean, they always lose on defense. I always say this. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Josh Allen should have played better. Sure. They still give up way too many points to Bo Nix. I mean, it happens every stinking playoff game every year. I've seen it year over year. Allen has major games, and they still give up points in the end. When they got to get a stop, they can't do it. So New England, I'm not going to say they're going to win the AFC. No way. I mean, this was a weird year. You guys talked about it last week. You had no Mahomes. You had no Burrow. You had all the guys. Lamar Jackson down. It was kind of like a perfect scenario for them to get to the Super Bowl. But in this division, I mean, I'd be kind of shocked if the Finns jumped them or something, for example. Or the Jets. Come on, dude. The Jets. I don't even want to talk about the Jets. That team.
I agree with you.
Certainly Buffalo.
I agree with you. I don't see the Jets moving up anywhere in this division. I still think they're going to be the worst team in this division, but I can see New England dropping down to third, Miami being second. It can be a real possibility here because again, the way Miami ended the season, they seem to have found something there, right? So much so that they decided we can just move on from Tyreek Hill, find out what's going to happen with us going forward. Obviously, he was going to be an unrestricted free agent anyway, so just let him go out and do his thing. So you just get rid of him and see what the future holds here. But I don't know if I'm ready to write Miami off as they are right now. And maybe it's just me. I'm a lefty. I love me a left-handed quarterback. I want to see a left-handed quarterback be successful. So maybe I'm talking myself into Tua might be okay. But man, I feel like this was a super underachieving season for Miami and a super overachieving season for New England.
Oh, no doubt about it, especially on the New England part.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. It's just get me a Miami team because my co-host on Side Action, Dalton, does social media for us here, Prime Cover Sports Network. It's like, dude, talk to me when they're going to win a game under 40 degrees. Get a team that can run the football, that can play some defense. I mean, my God, at some point you have to do that in the NFL. This is not the summer league. This isn't the spring to summer league. This is a fall to winter league. And so I hear you, but New England's built for that. Good running game, get a good running game, quarterback that's got some stuff. Defense is going to stop the run. So, no, schedules do play a huge part in teams getting better. We saw it a lot this year. It's just I'm not going to punch the ticket for the Finns until I see them play the first 6 games. I was one of those guys that thought for sure they were going to get rid of Mike McDaniel after week 3. I mean, I had a bet on them that they would get rid of their coach first, and I lost. Because he somehow turned it around. It was kind of a shocking situation. But no, they have some pieces. You know, they're an NFL team. They've got some guys. I mean, if Waddle stays and you got Achane healthy, you got a good offense. It's just a defense like we talked about.
And
I agree with you about New England. I don't think they're going to fall off completely because of the pieces they do have in place. May did take a few steps this year. They have a good backfield. So while I don't think they're going to repeat the success of this past season, I don't think they'll fall off completely. So they'll be humbled this year. They'll be more middle of the road.
I think one of the things that we also have to think about whenever we look at all the turmoil that's surrounding Miami is we also have to remember in the middle of the season, they fired their GM. So like there's a lot of stuff going on here with the Miami Dolphins, which again, I can see a scenario here where the Miami Dolphins are the worst team in the league. And I can also see a scenario where they're a middle of the road fringe playoff team. Are they going to be a team that wins a championship anytime soon? I don't think so.
No.
Not with Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback. I just don't think it's anything that's going to happen here. Jesse Carter coming up with the hottest take of all time, I believe here, saying, I think the Bills are third. I think the Patriots are first and or second. The AFC East is a crapshoot. Vrabel is definitely better than people give him credit. AFC East is like the AFC South. Whoever wins that division is sadly irrelevant.
It's a very interesting take, especially on New England. Or I mean Buffalo, excuse me.
Is this a Chiefs fan, Jesse? I mean, what are we talking about here? If you have Josh Allen, I'm telling you, if they beat the Broncos, they were going to go in the Super Bowl. Everybody knows that. They would have beat the Patriots.
Yes, they
would. I don't think they would have. They probably wouldn't have beaten Seattle, but they would have had a better shot. Josh Allen gives them a shot. I mean, the guy's an MVP candidate every year. He was hurt at the end of the year. He had a broken foot for the last 3 games or 4 games. So I hear you, dude. I want them to play better defense, but I wouldn't throw them all the way under the bus to under Miami. But hey, man, that's the kind of situation you believe in that. Bet in that next year. Bet on that, and you will win some money because that's a contrarian take that I wouldn't support. But I mean, hey, maybe you're right.
Jesse Carter is a Tennessee Titans fan, so that's a lot of tough talk coming from.
That's why the AFC South cropped up then. All right.
Knows all about the AFC South and how irrelevant they are. Although you already know this, I love my Jacksonville Jaguars, everyone's second favorite team on all of my shows that I do stuff with, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll see how they bounce back going into next season. So I feel like we've spoken enough about the diva wide receivers. We got 22 minutes out of Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs, which I did not think we were going to be able to get 22 minutes out of.
It's great quality.
And we keep the conversation going with another diva wide receiver, Dallas Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens, expected to be given the franchise tag. And just to let you all know, a wide receiver franchise tag would mean $28,824,000 for a single season. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys need to do this because as a Cowboys fan, I fell in love with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb on the same side. As a football fan, I saw what happened to the Cincinnati Bengals where they paid Joe Burrow, they paid T. Higgins, and they paid Jamar Chase, and it just did not work out for them. The Dallas Cowboys had the worst defense in the NFL, the worst defense in Dallas Cowboys history, which is saying something. Guys, Sean, I'm going to start with you. Should Dallas do this in giving George Pickens the franchise tag?
Well, that's another defense that has nowhere to go but up. That trade with Micah Parsons, shortly before last season, I never agreed with it at all. I think you got to focus on the defense first. The offense will always be good, I think, with what the pieces they have. So, we'll see what happens.
Wags?
I think it's a great decision. I think franchising is a perfect thing. Don't give him a long-term deal. Do not give this guy a long-term deal. I think Pickens played great, but let's see him play great again. And we've seen this happen with some quarterbacks. I mean, Kirk Cousins the man got paid on franchise tags from different teams. I mean, the guy's amazing. But CDs, I think, is a better player overall. So you obviously paid him already, so you want to keep that. Do not pay him. They already paid Dak. You can't do what they did. Like we just talked about that. The Dolphins did it. Bengals did it. Don't go down this road. You've got to rebuild the defense. The franchise tag makes sense. I don't think there's anybody in the defense you want to franchise. So you might as well do this and see if you can build a defense through the draft and, whatever else free agency you can do.
Yep, exactly my point.
if there's one thing that we've seen the Dallas Cowboys have done well, which is not much over the last 30 years, 3 decades now of complete ineptitude and just living in purgatory, not that I'm sour about it or anything like that, but there's one thing we've seen the Dallas Cowboys do over this time frame is they do draft pretty well. So I could see a scenario here where they go out, they shore up the defense in the draft, but the caveat here is the last few high draft picks, first-round draft picks the Cowboys have chosen, people like Mozzie Smith, have not panned out for the Dallas Cowboys outside of Micah Parsons. So, like, what do you do here if you're the Cowboys? Because, again, Wegs, I agree with you completely. You cannot give that kind of money to 3 guys. You just cannot. I know the salary cap is going to increase next year, but you cannot risk it on just 3 guys, especially one that's as volatile as George Pickens. And then the other side of this coin, this ugly coin that you've married yourself to with George Pickens is if you don't give him a long-term contract, is he going to do to you what he did in Pittsburgh, which was just force his way out of there, right? Like it's a tough one for me here as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't know which direction I want to go. Sean, can you help me out with this? What should I feel here? Because I feel like I'm still stuck in purgatory, and this team is going to keep me in this weird hell that I've been in for the last 3 decades.
Start to the top with Jerry Jones. How many times have we said that? Saw you waving in the money thing earlier. It's the only thing Jerry Jones is good at is business. But, Pickens getting the franchise tag, they do need to shore up their defense if they want to compete. It's that simple. They play in what's going to be a tougher division besides Philly.
Augustine Pimentel asking, why are you talking about ineptitude and ugly? It's my birthday. That's why I'm talking about myself. What are we doing?
Exactly. It's a Cowboys fan talking. Let the man celebrate his ineptitude. It's fine.
Exactly. I know what it's like to be mediocre. 30 years of absolutely nothing. I absolutely hate that I love this team. I need to find a better team. But
you reminded me of something when you brought this up. Sometimes you need to look within your system to find a gem. It took however long for the Cowboys to find Tony Romo there when they were going through the likes of Quincy Carter and Vinny Testaverde and God help me, Drew Bledsoe, the guy who could throw a football hard but not accurate.
I always joke about this. The time and the quarterbacks that followed Troy Aikman to Tony Romo, that train of quarterbacks where you have Clint Stoner is one of these names on here. Ryan Leaf was one of those guys that was a part of this train of just ugly quarterback play that the Dallas Cowboys had. And I always end on Quincy Carter because whenever I first started doing this media stuff in 2015, I started working with a semi-pro football league here in El Paso called the Rio Grande Football League. And Quincy Carter, former Dallas Cowboys quarterback, was the quarterback of a semi-pro football team that was paying $200 a game. It was just sad to see the drop-off and what drugs can do to you, man. If there was anything to stay away from drugs, Quincy Carter is that guy right there for you to lean on.
Wow.
They had Drew Henson. Didn't they have Drew Henson too?
We did have former Yankees baseman Drew Henson as our quarterback at one point in time. I'm telling you, Rodney Peete was in there. It was a list of just bad quarterback play.
How about Chad Hutchinson?
Randall Cunningham was our quarterback.
Cunningham, Hutchinson, Brad Johnson for a little while as backup.
Oh, I thought the Brad Johnson, Keyshawn Johnson connection was going to bring us some sort of magic, and it never did. This is, again, me looking at
more
this.
More credit due to John Gruden. More credit due to John Gruden for that connection. Yeah, and the Hall of Fame defense that won him their Super Bowl.
Right. Tip, I'm a Bears fan, dude. So let's not talk about quarterbacks, okay? I mean, we do have one now. It took a long time. So, you did win a couple Super Bowls in the 90s. Maybe you were younger back then, but you know what I mean? We talked about it. Jerry is Jerry. Jerry's going to be Jerry until Jerry gets out of the way and lets a real football guy run this organization. They're going to keep doing this stuff. But I still think franchising Pickens – our guy Kenny, the Renegade guy, he thinks just let him get paid. No, he's going to get paid $28 million for 1 year, and that's fine.
Pickens gets what he wants in that scenario, and then you address your defense.
One of my favorite things to do during this season, Wags, was to watch the Chicago Bears and see Caleb Williams jump up the all-time list of all-time quarterbacks for the Chicago Bears. He ended. This was his second season. He is now number 9 all-time in passing yards for the Chicago Bears, which is just mind-blowing, man.
It's just mind-boggling considering they're a defensive franchise and have been for a long time. How long had Jay Cutler held all those passing yards, and how long did everybody want him out of the Windy City?
I know. It's been a rough road, but hopefully he stays healthy. Come on. We got that, Caleb. You got this. So
Caleb's going to be that 4,000-yard passer, the one who breaks that barrier.
Yes,
He came close.
Oh, no. See, you got to learn who I am as a guy here, Sean. I want every year Caleb Williams to be like at 3,999 and get sacked.
Just to torture him?
To happen every year. We've got to keep this tradition going. You've never had a 4,000-yard passer. You don't want a 4,000-yard passer.
The lone franchise in this league that's never had one.
That's insane.
Yeah, Augustine, Eric Kramer, good call out, baby. That was a hell of a year he had. Yeah, that was the biggest quarterback year ever when he had that big year.
I mean, there have been a few good names that have paraded through.
Sure.
As bad as Cutler was overall, he did provide some bright spots.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he had to get some good years.
Tommy Carranza giving us a list of some of the Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks over here. Anthony Wright, who I totally forgot about. Clint Storner, Chad Hutchinson, Vinny Testaverde, Quincy Carter, Drew Bledsoe. The list of quarterbacks that you see between Troy Aikman and Tony Romo. It was 6 years, I want to say, was the thing here, and it was a revolving door, a conveyor belt of depression, so to speak. Of
the Cleveland Browns before the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they're America's team.
At least on the NFC side of things.
They're America's team.
Again, I have a shirt that's I hate that I love them, and this is the reason why. They constantly disappoint me. Now I know how my parents felt whenever they told me about chasing my radio dreams.
It's a dysfunctional relationship. That's why you keep going back. That toxicity gets you bringing you back every time.
Wags, I tell myself I'm going to change them.
Right. You'll believe that.
Try going back to the Vikings year after year.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like I'm talking to a Bears fan, I'm talking to a Vikings fan. My team has had more success since then, so I shouldn't have like the visceral reaction I have. Like I should be, oh, you guys aren't as good as the Cowboys are. Look at the rings we have. But again, I was a small child when that happened. It's almost like it didn't happen because of how long ago it was. I have a child now that is older than I was whenever the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl.
A what?
I have a child that's older than I was the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. It's insane. I was 11 years old the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. I turned 42 today. I hate them. I genuinely.
My goodness. Yeah, I was only 4 years old when they won their last Super Bowl, so before I became a fan of this
I gotta
league.
put this guy on the bench. I told you all I was going to bring a bench back. Just
click.
I need to find a way to get him out on the bench.
We could have a whole show of tortured franchises. So let's just there's plenty to line up. There's plenty of people line up.
I was about to say, maybe that should be the name. That should be the name of the show: Tortured Franchises.
Right.
We'd have to fill 2-hour windows.
Oh yeah, we just give each other 45 minutes each to talk about how terrible our teams have been to us.
And we have too much to say.
Justin Carter saying, don't franchise him to pick up AJ Brown. I mean, TO 2.0, but definitely defense needs money spent on it. Talking about the Dallas Cowboys. August is saying the sad thing is when Jerry is gone, Jerry Jr. is up next.
Yeah.
First off, I want to say this. Is there ever going to be a Terrell Owens 2.0?
I mean,
not just the talent, but the on the field, off the field incidents. He was very famous.
I mean, is anybody gonna be doing like crunches in his driveway? When he's doing the holdout. Remember when he did that? I mean, the guy had a great 8-pack, but still,
there was
the autographing the football, the cheerleader pom poms, everything T.O. did at his day.
There was a part of me, Wags, whenever I saw T.O. doing those crunches and it was like the contract dispute with the Eagles and all that stuff going on, where I thought to myself, he would be great as a Dallas Cowboy. And he was.
And what do you know? A few years later.
And then he just.
He actually played well in Dallas. That is second year there.
I mean, the majority of the time that he was in Dallas, he played well. Then Miles Austin came in, became the number one receiver.
Yep.
I remember Terrell Owens bouncing around. It was Buffalo, It was
Buffalo.
Seattle. It was
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Wow, I forgot
Cincinnati,
about
yes.
Him and
Cincinnati.
Ocho Cinco played on the same field at one time, I believe.
Yep.
Man, people in 2005 would have loved Chad Johnson and Terrell Owens on the field at the same time. They just happened to do it in 2012.
Yeah, the diva wide receivers. Well, I'm not trying to transition to you, Tip, but AJ Brown wants out of Philly as well. We could talk about more divas there. What do you think, guys? I mean, you think that's a good choice? I mean, obviously, if you're an Eagles fan, I think a lot of people have soured on him, but he's still a stud. You do have Devonta Smith, so you do have another guy there. But I mean, hell, there's a lot of teams that would want that guy on your football team.
Well, what if you could get a good return for him?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are teams who would want him. Because Philly wasn't the powerhouse they were the previous season for sure.
Right.
I would love to see what the return would possibly be, right? Because we've seen teams, whenever you have a player that wants out, and everyone knows the player wants out, they don't have to give you what you want in trade value. They can take advantage of the fact that this player just doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yep.
So what would be a good trade for Philadelphia? Because I feel like, again, and I've got to revert to my Dallas Cowboys knowledge, right? You traded Amari Cooper for a 5th-round pick, and Amari Cooper was a very good, serviceable receiver who was happy.
Right.
I can see A.J. Brown going for a 4th or 5th rounder.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he's still got it. He may not be as good as he was 2 or 3 years ago, but he still can definitely help a contender. You saw that. Yep, AJ to the Patriots. That would be a good choice for those guys. But, do they have the draft picks? Not sure. Obviously, they're on the other side of the draft this year. But look, I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of movement. And if somebody wants that guy, hopefully he gets – I don't think he's that much of a problem. I think that offense was the problem. What he was saying was right. I mean, and I'm not an anti-Jalen Hurts guy, but I don't think that they had the right offensive mind there. He was saying the right things, so they were vilifying him as a receiver. But at the same time, dude, I mean, they're not throwing the ball to their talented guys.
That's why they look so uneven last year. They're taking on another new offensive identity this upcoming year. Mm-hmm. Another new change among the assistant coaches. So maybe this is the right time for Brown. I think he'd be a good fit in New England, like one of our commenters here has mentioned. If Diggs does end up staying, you have another compliment. Patriots weren't the greatest team offensively this year, so
I don't know how you deal with that though. If you're Mike Vrabel, your second year with the team, you have AJ Brown and Stephon Diggs. I don't.
That's true. You have to be a pretty no nonsense guy.
And Waves, like, I don't know if it was AJ Brown necessarily talking negatively about Jalen Hurts. I think it was more, like you said, the offensive system, right? Like we all can look at Nick Sirianni. He has the dumbest face in football. That's again me and my bias. Nobody has a more punchable face than Nick Sirianni. But you just he's not a good coach. They won a Super Bowl not because of him, but in spite of him, is what it seems like. And it doesn't seem to gel very well what's going on in Philadelphia. Even though they won a Super Bowl, it still didn't feel like it was the best that you can get out of this team. And I feel like that's what A.J. Brown was kind of complaining about. I don't think it was Jalen Hurts per se, because we've seen Jalen Hurts when it's time to throw the ball. He's a pretty damn good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I work for a company that the headquarters are outside of Philly. They're all Eagles fans. They sing that fight song. I can't stand it. Drives me crazy. But they follow Nick Sirianni. I think he's terrible. Sorry, the ambulances are always by my house. But anyway, Sirianni, to your point, when he's had good coordinators, his teams have been good. When he hasn't had good coordinators, his teams have been bad. Like, look, I mean, if he doesn't have Fangio on that team, they probably implode again this year, because that defense held that team up, not the offense. So I don't know about the punchable face part, but I don't like him, that's for sure. We'll see what happens this year. AJ maybe can get coaxed back in with the new OC, but if he goes, they're definitely not going to be better than they were last year. He's not like a addition by subtraction kind of guy to me.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like the Eagles, Howie Roseman has done a great job building that roster together. Obviously, they've won themselves a Super Bowl and stuff like that, but it also feels like he got a ton of volatile pieces there, and it feels like this was a crescendo for the explosion that was eventually going to happen. And I just wonder what this team is going to be like. You saw how bad that offensive line was without Lane Johnson. Your offensive line should never be one guy anchoring the entire thing.
Right.
He's getting up in age. He's going to go eventually. And it feels like Philadelphia is going to have a lot more questions and answers. But as far as the division goes, I still think they're the best team in that division. So they make it to the playoffs. And all you got to do is make it to the dance, and maybe something positive happens for you.
I agree. And we could sit there with turmoil among the coaches. Some players only go to franchises, because of the assistant coaches. They don't necessarily see eye to eye with head coaches all the time. And, it became evident the turmoil among the coaching staff in Philly, especially at the end of the season.
How Kevin Patullo made it through the majority of the season is wild. Like, it should not have happened.
No. I do think, with Kelsey retiring a couple of years ago, was it last year? Yeah. When he retired, they lost something. The guy had leadership skills. He obviously was a good player as well. So the thing about that team, though, Roseman, love him or hate him, especially as a Cowboys guy, look, he can draft. This guy gets guys every single year. His drafting ability is good. He makes shrewd moves. So they're going to be fine. It's just whether they can fix the coaching staff. At some point, they're going to realize Sirianni is the problem. But for now, we'll see if they can patch it together for another year.
But he's
certainly interesting. The OC hire they did make a former Viking quarterback who was on their roster as recently as just a few years ago. I'm wondering if they got desperate.
Maybe.
I don't know. I look at the Eagles and I still look at them as a halfway decent team. Angel Torres is saying that Hurts is a middle of the pack quarterback, a big reason why their OC job went unclaimed for a while. Sean Mannion took the job to install the McVay Shanahan offense, which I kind of like, right? Like, you have a team that, a dual threat running quarterback who can also pass the ball.
Yep.
You got Saquon Barkley there. Why wouldn't you install a run first type offense, which I know AJ Brown wasn't a fan of, but I felt like that was what the bread and butter for Philadelphia was, and something that they should have gotten into. That, like, maybe trade AJ Brown last year. I feel like if they trade him going into this past season, they would have maximized his value. This season, they're not going to get what we all know he's worth just because they don't have the leverage.
That's true.
Those are offenses that come at you in so many ways. That's why people are so excited and like McVay and Shanahan as much as they do. I'm not sure if Manning's the right guy, though.
Yeah, it's his first time as OC. Look, McVay, he somehow made Puka and Adams happy, so you can make two receivers happy and have a great running game in the same offense. It is possible. It's definitely happened for the Rams. So we'll see what happens. But I think if Sirianni just plays his little antics, and he's always like talking shit on the sidelines, it drives me nuts. But whatever. They're still a talented football team.
It's Sirianni just giving into his dumb face. He lets his face do his talking for him. It's just a stupid face. Augustine Pimentel asking a great question. Does the hot/crazy scale fit in football? You're this good, you're also this crazy. Like it feels like it's one of those charts that just kind of trends up the same way.
That kind of goes back to a point I made earlier. A player that can be as talented as anybody in the world, but the way they act, maybe on and off the field, how crazy they may act, is it worth keeping a guy who's a constant soap opera? We mentioned that with Owens. We mentioned that with Diggs. The scale might have to be more on the, pretty even side.
I'll put up with a psychopathic, sociopathic type of player as long as they perform, right? Like, the second you stop performing, you saw with Dallas Antero Owens, the second he became the number 2 receiver to Miles Austin, who was not a great receiver, by the way, he became the number 2. It was easy to just ship him on out of there. Look at what happened with Pittsburgh and Antonio Brown, right? Oh, you're not worth the squeeze anymore. Let's send you down to Oakland. You play with the Raiders for a little bit. You go more crazy over there. They get rid of you. You go to Tampa Bay. Tom Brady couldn't save you. Like, the greatest quarterback of all time couldn't save you. And he does the whole crazy thing right there, right? So as long as they're performing, the juice is worth the squeeze. But the second it falls off, it makes it so much easier to move past them, which is why I think it's easy not easy for Philadelphia to move past A.J. Brown, because we haven't seen a drop-off on him.
Right. I do think this is we're talking about one position here, wide receiver. That doesn't happen at quarterback because you do have to perform. Maybe pass rusher. Maybe you could be a little nuts if you get like 12 sacks a year. But if you're a running back, you're an offensive lineman, or even a safety, some of those safeties kind of go a little crazy. Cornerbacks can be a little crazy too. I guess I'm thinking like Perfect, Vontez Perfect for like the Bengals. He was a kind of a nutcase, and there are a couple of guys, but for the most part, it's diva wide receivers. And what's funny is most teams don't even need the diva wide receiver to win a Super Bowl. I mean, check out most of the last 15 Super Bowls. It's not like they had a Jerry Rice out there. They usually have a good running game, good defense, and maybe a great quarterback who can make other people better. So that's why I think people move on so fast. They're like, look, we can just throw it to another guy who's open,
Yeah, but it's been proven from time to time again, these diva receivers that teams don't need.
We've spent 45 minutes now talking about diva wide receivers. Again, I didn't know this was the way the show was going to go, but hell, man, I'm glad we followed the lazy river. We did what we needed to do to get to where we are right now. Franchise tags is what we were talking about. That led us to A.J. Brown and the diva wide receivers. I can't think of any other diva wide receivers that are out there, so let's move on. Seattle saying that they are not going to franchise tag Kenneth Walker III. We were talking about this last week, Sean. We felt like this could be a team that, if they kept this core together, could possibly make another run at a Super Bowl. But being that they might lose Kenneth Walker III here if they don't sign him to a long-term deal, which most running backs don't get signed to long-term deals, would Seattle be able to survive that?
While they have a good defense like they do, probably, as long as Sam Darnold doesn't revert to his seeing ghost form again, you still have JSN at your disposal. You still have decent tight end play, and you still have Zach Charbonnet in your backfield too. So,
but you're not going to have him for the majority of next season.
Yeah, totally
true.
I mean, look, I'm a running back when I was a youngster, so I always defend the running back position. But the modern NFL doesn't care about running backs. It just doesn't. The offensive line is really good. They'll find holes for somebody. They'll get a journeyman running back, or they'll pick up another rookie at third, fourth rounder, and he can step in. So I want my running backs to get paid. Don't get me wrong. I want him to get paid. He had a great game. He won him the Super Bowl. But let's face it, it's not one of those positions. It's not quarterback. It's not outside pass rush. It's not left tackle. They just don't get paid. I mean, he can walk to another team and get a little, 3-4 year deal and make some money. And I want him to make money, but Seattle can win without him.
They do seem to be more dispensable these days, NFL running backs.
Augustine saying, hey, we need to mention Sam Darnold the right way. That is Super Bowl winning quarterback Sam Darnold. To the rest of us mere mortals out here that have never won a Super Bowl or look like a Lego fireman. Another running back that's out there that could be franchise tagged, and I'm interested in this one, is Breece Hall. I don't feel like he's lived up to the expectations that we've had for him whenever he entered the league. And I don't feel like he's been a terrible running back either. Like, he's just a middle of the road kind of guy. But if you're the New York Jets, can you afford to let someone like Breece Hall just walk away without a real legitimate replacement for him?
Oh man, the guy is dynamic. He obviously in his rookie year tore his ACL, and he was having a hell of a year that year. The Jets I don't even know where you start. I mean, a running back is not going to win you a bunch of games next year. So it's okay to lose him. I mean, look at what the Raiders did last year. You had Ashton Genty, great talent, great player. They couldn't get him a hole. He had like 2 games over 100 yards. The rest of it, he was just grinding, getting pummeled. It doesn't matter if you don't have any holes. Now, he can catch the ball, meaning Breece Hall. So I think they can let him go. They're definitely not going to pay him. They need to work on both lines first and just rebuild the whole team is devoid of talent at this point. So that's a guy who could go to Seattle. I mean, maybe they give him a good deal for 2 years and they sign him up, and it'll be a good deal for him, or maybe a 1-year prove-it contract, and then he could win the Super Bowl.
A 1-year contract on a prove-it deal is probably the best thing for him if they were to move on to him. And it just shows you how much a lot of the league undervalues offensive lines. You mentioned the 3 players per team getting the most money. If an offensive line's undervalued, you're not going to do very well. Your quarterback in particular is going to be just battered every week.
Augustine saying that the Jets are a prime example of why there needs to be relegation. in the NFL. I would love to see something like that. There's just not the infrastructure for what's going on. It would never happen in the NFL. Augustine, a huge soccer guy, so obviously he leans more towards relegation. I will break this on y'all one of these days, but I believe relegation in college football needs to be a thing, which I think would be kind of fun to make college football a little more viable going on. And then Augustine going on to say that there needs to be some punishment for tanking. I don't think the Jets were tanking. I think the Jets were legitimately trying. They're just not good.
Is there really any way you can prove a team tanks anyway? I think it would have to be totally obvious.
I think in the NFL, the incentive structure is it's very incentive laden, the contracts. So the guys do play hard. This isn't an NBA podcast, is it? Because I think there should be relegation in the NBA. That's a different story. There are definitely people tanking and not sitting, but there are guys in the NFL. I mean, every sack, every tackle, every catch usually means money, especially end of the season. That's why you could get the Jets beating somebody late, shockingly.
Yeah.
So as bad as they've been, I just don't like their coach, honestly. Aaron Glenn, I wasn't sold on him in Detroit. We'll see what happens this year if he has a restart. Obviously, he's got new coordinators this year. But to me, the Jets, you just got to start over. I think the only sign, Sean, for tanking is when they start trading. They traded all those guys kind of after like week 7 or whatever it was. Maybe that's kind of a white flag.
So one of the more interesting players I think we have here that's going to be interesting this franchise tag or entering this franchise tag window is Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Atlanta Falcons, you've had him, 4 years now. We all can say it. The dude is one of the more athletically gifted people we've seen play the tight end position in quite some time. But he just hasn't lived up to what I believe all of us thought he was going to do whenever he came out of college. Do you risk putting the franchise tag on him? Because a franchise tag for a tight end right now is only $16,319,000. So it's not, over the top. But with Michael Penix as your quarterback, we saw the Falcons were actually better with Kirk Cousins, which is kind of weird. They've got a ton of talent with Drake London, with Bijan Robinson. It's just they're a weird team in a weird position right now. Sean, what should they do? Should they tag him? Should they let him walk? What's going on here with the Falcons?
Well, I blame quarterback instability as part of that problem. When you're torn between two guys like that, it can be tougher to design an offense about a guy who's guaranteed to have the reign of the offense going forward. I say you do tag him as long as they know what they want to do at quarterback this year, and maybe this could be his prove it kind of deal.
I agree. I think he's a total tag candidate for 2 reasons. He had that monster game. I don't know if we talked about this in the one podcast, but he had, I think the amount of points he had in that one Thursday night game where he went off was like 60% of his overall fantasy production in his career. So if he could do that again, great. You still got Bijan controlled under a rookie contract. I'm not sure if London's still controlled under a rookie contract too, but this is the time to see if if these dogs can hunt. This is the year. So might as well tag him for $16 million, which, by the way, what's the price for franchise tagging a podcast host? Is that like in the $12 million range? But we're okay with that. If you want to tag
that
guys.
money. Is Jerry Jones funding that?
I don't know what you guys are getting paid, but I was told I was on the low end. I'm only making $12.5 million this year.
But anyway, I think Atlanta could have a really great offense. Might as well see if it goes 1 year. And if he can't get it done, great. I mean, they always can franchise tag him and try to work out a deal, but I wouldn't go on a long-term deal with him right now. He just hasn't produced.
I agree. You got to do what you got to do with the tag, I think, right now.
Is there a team out there that you feel like would benefit from having someone like Kyle Pitts? Because, again, like you mentioned it feels like we say this every single year. There's the one Kyle Pitts game. It's kind of like Will Fuller, right? Whenever Will Fuller would have the one game where he goes off for amazing yards and stuff, it's the one Kyle Pitts game a year. Is it worth really going out there and tagging him, or let him go walk to another team? Because maybe it is the instability at quarterback, but what team out there would benefit from having Kyle Pitts as their number one tight end?
I mean, I think you really have to know for sure if you want to move on from him or not, and that's why that's why I think it would be the wrong time to move on from Pitts. Give him that chance on that tag. Now, there's another tight end I want to mention, but we'll stay on the topic of Pitts for now. Wags, what do you think?
Well, the two teams I think would love to have him. One is the Titans. I know we have a Titans guy out there. I mean, you got a young quarterback. You always want to have a tight end for him. I think Aronquo or whoever's down there, he's a little older. He'd be great down there with their receiving core. And you've got Jaden Daniels. I mean, the dude, Zach Ertz is still there, right? Or something like that. I mean, the ghost of Zach Ertz is up there. He's got to be retiring at some point. Get a young guy in there to go with the young quarterback. I mean, that would be a really good fit in that offense to me. But again, what's the price tag? I don't know what they got to pay for. If you let him walk, then they're going to have to pay, and they probably don't want to pay that much. So I still think the Falcons will tag him.
Who's our other tight end that we're talking about, Sean?
I was going to bring up a certain Vikings tight end here, TJ Hawkinson. His production really declined over this last year, and even with even a stable quarterback here, I just don't think he has what he used to have anymore. And he's under an expensive contract here. Vikings are already in a ton of salary cap trouble, so I think at the tight end position, not just at the tight end position, but any within the Vikings organization, he's I think the clear-cut front runner to be cut. And I think they do need to part ways with him.
He'll get cut, yeah, for sure.
If the Vikings had a better quarterback situation, I'd like to see Kyle Pitts there. I think it depends on the quarterback, who the quarterback is, because that's so vital, right? That quarterback tight end connection is a security blanket for most quarterbacks, and we've seen that better part of 30 years of football, basically.
Yeah, but if I were this offseason, count the Vikings out of that. They have too many cap issues.
Yeah, they can't pay him.
Oh, they wouldn't be them, at least this offseason.
I mean, now I'm talking myself into Kyle Pitts in the Dallas Cowboys uniform. So let's move away from that. Let's go on to the quarterback that could get franchise tagged, Daniel Jones. I feel like it would be really smart for Indiana to keep him there. The resurgence we saw from Daniel Jones this year, I don't think anybody had on the plate. Again, whenever Sam Darnold gets signed to Seattle, I'm laughing to myself. There's no way they win a Super Bowl. Look what happens here.
Yeah, he proved me wrong. I admit it.
What was that?
I said he proved me wrong. I admit it, Darnold.
He proved everybody wrong. His parents looked at him and said, "You're never winning a Super Bowl," and now he proved them wrong. He's the only person in the history of mankind that had his parents give up on him.
Wow.
But Daniel
the
Jones,
only who believed in him, Tip, was Dick Hammer. God rest his soul.
The legendary Dick Hammer, the only one who ever believed in Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones, if you're Indianapolis, do you franchise tag him knowing that maybe he just caught lightning in the bottle, or is he the quarterback of the future? What are you thinking here, Sean?
Maybe too soon to tell. It was only, 10, 11 games that he played in before he hurt himself.
Those 10, 11 games, they were one of the best teams in the NFL.
That's true. I guess, when you go that far into a season, I think that's a pretty good indicator of how the quarterback is. And his time spent in Minnesota was beneficial, if nothing else. So I think for this year, maybe you do take a chance on him. Besides that, who really else do they have other than Richardson, who they're almost labeling as a bust at this point?
Almost labeling? That's a bust.
Yeah. Trying to be kind here to him, but, obviously it's not as nearly as tight a hold on the position as it was before Jones showed up. And Jones was just outstanding.
The tag is $47 million. Am I reading that right?
Yep.
That is insanity.
Well,
and that's a big number. But obviously you're only locked up for 1 year. It's guaranteed for 1 year. I don't see how you don't do that. If you want to keep him, I wouldn't sign him to a long term. I think that he could be the next Kirk Cousins, Jones Cousins. Hey, just switch it out. I hope he does well again, but I mean, they obviously were able to figure it out, a reclamation project. There's going to be other guys in that situation in a couple of years. They could bring it in, and at some point they could probably draft a guy. But
yep,
$47 million is a lot of money, though. Whew.
It is a lot of money, but if it doesn't work out, you move on.
Mm-hmm.
$47 million. So that's a hell of an investment not to work out. All right, guys, we are up against the clock. Sean, tell everybody how they can go out there, how they can follow you on social media, find some of the stuff that you're out there doing.
All right. You can see it on the byline on the bottom. My Facebook is Sean.Davich. Twitter /X, whatever you still prefer to call it, Sean Davich. I'm also on Instagram, not nearly as active on there, but My handle there is all lowercase Sean.J.Davidge. And that's how you can follow any of my channels.
Wags, let us know how we can follow you as well.
Side Action Podcast. That's my gambling podcast with Dalton Cooper. That's at Side Action Pod on X, Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Me personally at Wegspool on X on Instagram. And then obviously for this network, we also have the Primetime College Basketball, show on Fridays. Actually, we switched over to Thursdays now. So we're getting ready for your March Madness. You got to check us out.
I'll plan on watching. I love the March Madness.
Oh, the best time of the year, March Madness. Y'all can follow me at Mr. Tipton 33 on all social media platforms. And remember, today, Fat Tips Day. Go out there, have yourself a good old fun time here on Mardi Gras. Gentlemen, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. I cannot wait to talk to y'all next week.
Pleasure's all ours. Happy birthday again.
Happy birthday, brother.